Hey everybody, welcome back to part 3 of my bath bomb tutorial for beginners. Going to give you guys a very basic bath bomb recipe, really great starting point for beginners, and we're gonna go through it together, and hopefully with parts 1 and 2 of my bath bomb tutorial you can really start to formulate your own recipe and really make it yours. And this recipe, like I said, is a really good starting point. So we're gonna go get started. We're gonna go through the ingredients and measure them out, and everything that I can possibly tell you we're gonna try and cram in this video. So stick around and enjoy. Alright guys, here we are. We have some supplies that I need to go over with you guys first before we get started. So it's probably a good idea to go ahead and get some measuring cups, a scale if you have it. I prefer to use weights instead of volume. So if you have a scale, great. If not, not a big deal. Measuring glass to measure out all your liquid ingredients. We have our colors here of choice, whether based on video number 1, if you want to use micas, dyes, or lakes. We're going to need a big bowl, a spatula, a sifter, and if you want to get a pen and a pad to write down any notes or anything, that's probably a good idea. And then I have a hand mixer, again not necessary, but definitely helps speed things along as far as making your bath bombs go. So go ahead and get all these things together, and then we're gonna get started. So for this recipe, we're going to start with 500 grams of baking soda. I prefer to use weight because I feel like you're going to get a more consistent recipe every time, a consistent bath bomb, as opposed to using like cups or ounces or whatever. So I really like to use grams. It's pretty accurate. So I have my little scale under here, and we're going to go ahead and weigh out 500 grams. And I like to sift it because it really makes sure there's no lumps. It gives you a nice, smooth, finished product. All right, 500. The next thing we're going to add is kaolin clay or cream of tartar. You can use either or. It's 15 grams of kaolin. And then we're going to tear our scale out and just throw it right on top. And again, you can use cream of tartar. It's really just to help the final bath bomb get nice and hard. And if you watched part 2, you know some of these ingredients that I'm talking about, and you can kind of pick and choose if this is something that you even want to use. Okay, it's 15 grams of that, and again, either kaolin or cream of tartar. We're gonna add, tear this out, 20 grams of either SLSA or milk powder, whatever you choose. I'm going to be using SLSA, and I don't want to put it in my sifter because this stuff really has a tendency to kind of just puff up in your face. So I have a face mask here, but you guys wouldn't be able to hear me if I'm talking. So anyway, 20 grams. Okay, 20 grams. And then that's all of our dry stuff, okay? All this extra stuff, the additives, the SLSA, the kaolin, cream of tartar, you can even throw cornstarch in here if you like. They're all, you can tweak anything you like. But as with anything, recommend that you test. Get all these bumps out. And we'll go ahead and give it a little mix with our hands here. So we're going to add that last. And get our scale back. And we're going to do all of our liquid. In this cup. So if you want to use lakes or micas, you can definitely add it to this portion now. We're going to add 20 grams of oil. This happens to be rice bran, but again, this is completely interchangeable. You can use coconut oil, avocado, olive, you can even use butters, really up to you. But we're going to use 20. Perfect. Tear that out. going to use 20 of fragrance. This is a pretty good number to use, but every fragrance company that you're going to purchase from, whether it's Wholesale Supplies Plus, Brambleberry, I mean, there's so many out there, I couldn't even tell you, but they're going to have a usage rate, and you're definitely going to want to check that on your own. But it'll tell you like a certain percent for your recipe. And I know all my fragrance oil, so 15 to 20 will be just about perfect. And that's 20. Now I'm going to use polysorbate as well. That is completely optional. As we talked about in part 1, you don't need polysorbate to disperse dye, but I am using it to disperse the oils in the water. So this is completely optional. You do not need it. If you do want to use it, I'm going to be using 4 grams. And tear that out. We have a little bit of water in there already, but we're going to be using alcohol as well. Really, it's going to depend on your climate. I wish I could tell you guys better, but you're just going to have to see what works for you guys, because it's really going to vary no matter where you live. For me, I'm going to use probably about 10 grams of 70% alcohol. And then I'm going to add my dye right into this cup. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This is a little trick that I have where you don't have to bloom your baking soda. And this is how I do it all the time. Just throw a little bit in there. And then really just mix it really well. You're going to find you're going to get little lumps in the bottom, but I just take my little spatula and just smush it around. Really going to have to want to play with the liquid portion in your bath bombs. Again, if you're going to have problems with your bath bombs, it's going to be all moisture related. So when I moved from North Carolina to Southern California, I completely had to revise my recipe, and it was so frustrating. So definitely start small with your liquid portions and then work your way up until you decide, what's a good stopping point. All right, this looks pretty good. So now we're going to take this and add it to here. Get all that good stuff out of there. And again, if you were using lakes or micas, your color should already be in the bowl. Just like take a little of this. Now you can either take your hands and really get this incorporated, and mix it this way. See, some people will take it and they'll rub it together. And while that does work great, especially like this is a particularly small batch that we're making just for the sake of the video, but I normally make really big batches, and so I like to work smarter, not harder. So I take my handy little hand mixer here and I'll mix using this. Want more intense color, totally doable. This is why I prefer using alcohol and water and saving the citric acid for last, because if you decide like, oh man, like this is not as dark as I was hoping, you can definitely still play around with it, because let me use that little, you can still play around with your coloring because you don't have citric acid, so you're not gonna risk getting your mix activated. See, maybe if I work that lump in there, it would be right where I need it. This is definitely a case of starting small and working your way up to where you need to be. You'll find that working with dyes, some colors disperse better than others. And I think these, out of all the colors, dye is actually the trickiest to work with. Lakes are so easy. Actually, if I was smart, I could just throw some lakes in there. Okay. So we still have a lump in there, but we'll save it. Making space-themed bath bombs, so I kind of want them darker. And I like to, you know, if I am adding extra color and want to get it a little bit more intense, I will rub it together like this, because you may find you get some lumps. That looks better to me. Okay. Let's hand mix some more. Actually, working with dyes too, it's smart to have one of these little pads so you don't ruin your countertops. Okay. All right. So now we got color where we want it. Looks good. We can go ahead and add our citric acid. Now, a lot of this is based on feel, and I can tell that right now that this feels a little wet. I think it'll be fine. If that's the case, you can let this dry for a little bit and it's gonna be fine because there's no citric acid in here. It's not gonna activate on you. Again, this is a climate thing. You're gonna have to determine, you know, how much liquid, binder, whether water, witch hazel, alcohol. You're gonna have to figure out what's best for you. So I'm gonna let that sit, and then we can work on this color that I've already pre-made. So we're gonna go ahead and add our citric to this. We used 500 grams of baking soda, so typical usage rate is about half. So we're gonna use 250. I sift everything, just to be on the safe side. Make sure your scale is tailored out. And we're going to hand mix again. Enjoy using a hand mixer because I just feel like it gets everything really incorporated better than my hands alone could. So again, everything is based off feel. A good hand test you can do to make sure your consistency is right is if when you squeeze and you drop it, the mix stays clumped together pretty well without breaking. And this seems like a really good consistency. Really getting your hands in there and feeling how it feels is just one of those things. Just practice, 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 and you'll see, like, yeah, that feels good. If it was too dry, you could take your alcohol, your spray bottle, turn your mixer on, and just spray while you're mixing. And the hand mixer mixes it, you know, fast enough that it's not going to be just like you're pouring it in there and you'll, you know, see everything activating. The mixer takes care of it fast enough and gets it dispersed. All right, now we'll do the same for this guy. Perfect. All right, so at this point is where you start molding, and you can use cookie cutters, you can use hand molds, you can use plastic, I don't know, candy molds. You can, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Cookie cutters. You can use the regular, like round hand molds. It's really, I mean, even a press. Options are endless. Today, I'm going to be using this guy, and we're going to go ahead and we can just get this going and just throw the colors in there. But I'm going to get going and get this done, but good luck, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer. I try and answer as fast as I can. So I hope this was helpful, and then stick around for part 4, where we're going to discuss typical problems with bath bombs and what you can do in troubleshooting and how to fix it. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.